This is Dr. Bev Knox, and you are listening to my psychology tutorials. Learn psychology while you sleep. Piaget's theory of cognitive development. According to Piaget's theory, children construct their own cognitive worlds, building mental structures to adapt to their world. Schemas are actions of mental representations that organize knowledge. Behavioral schemas, such as physical activities, characterize infancy, and mental schemas, which are cognitive activities, develop in childhood. Adaptation involves assimilation and accommodation. Assimilation occurs when children incorporate new information into their existing schemas. Accommodation refers to children's adjustment of their schemas to fit new information and experiences. Through organization, children group associated behaviors into a higher order, more smoothly functioning cognitive system. In sensorimotor thought, the first of Piaget's 4 stages, the infant organizes and coordinates sensory experiences such as seeing and hearing with physical movements. This stage lasts from birth to about 2 years of age and is non-symbolic throughout, according to Piaget. Sensorimotor thought has 6 sub-stages, which includes simple reflexes, the first habits and primary circular reactions, second circular reactions, coordination of secondary circular reactions, and novelty. One key aspect of this stage is object permanence, the ability to understand that objects continue to exist even though the infant is no longer observing them. Another aspect involves infants' understanding of cause and effect. In the past 2 decades, revisions of Piaget's view have been proposed based on research. For example, researchers have found that a stable and differentiated perceptual world is established earlier than Piaget envisioned. However, controversy surrounding the questions of when object permanence emerges, the nature-nurture issue is a key aspect of cognitive development. Most developmentists conclude that nature and nurture are both important in infant cognitive development. Preoccupational thought is the beginning of the ability to reconstruct at the level of thought what has been established in behavior. It involves a transition from a primitive to a more sophisticated use of symbols. In preoccupational thought, the child does not yet think in an operational way. The symbolic function substage occurs roughly from 2 to 4 years of age and is characterized by symbolic thought. The intuitive thought substage stretches from about 4 to 7 years of age. It is called intuitive because children seem sure about their knowledge, yet are unaware of how they know what they know. The preoccupational child lacks conversation and asks a barrage of questions. Concrete operational thought occurs roughly from 7 to 11 years of age. During this stage, children can perform concrete operations, think logically about concrete objects, classify things, and reason about relationships among classes of things. Concrete thought is not as abstract as formal operational thought. Formal operational thought appears between 11 and 15 years of age. Piaget maintains that adolescents become capable of engaging in hypothetical deductive reasoning. But Piaget did not give adequate attention to individual variations in adolescent thinking. How do we apply Piaget's theory to education and evaluate his theory? Piaget was not an educator, but his constructivist views have been applied to teaching. These applications include an emphasis on facilitating rather than direct learning. We owe to Piaget the field of cognitive development. He was a genius at observing children, and he gave us a number of masterful concepts such as assimilation, accommodation, object permanence, and egocentrism. Critics question his estimates and competence at different developmental levels, his stage concept, and other ideas. Let us identify the main concepts in Vygotsky's theory and compare it with Piaget's theory. Zone of proximal development is Vygotsky's term for the range of tasks that are too difficult for children to master alone, but can be learned with the guidance and assistance of adults or more skilled peers. Scaffolding is a teaching technique in which a more skilled person adjusts the level of guidance to fit the child's current performance level. Dialogue is an important aspect of scaffolding. Vygotsky stressed that language plays a key role in cognition. Language and thought initially develop independently, but when children internalize their egocentric speech in the form of inner speech, which becomes their thoughts. This transition to inner speech occurs between 3 and 7 years of age. Applications of Vygotsky's ideas to education include using the child's ZPD, which is the zone of proximal development, and scaffolding, using more skilled peers as teachers, monitoring and encouraging children's use of private speech, and accurately assessing the ZPD. These practices can transform the classroom and establish a meaningful context of instruction. Like Piaget, Vygotsky emphasized that children actively construct their understanding of the world. Unlike Piaget, he did not propose stages of cognitive development, and he emphasized that children construct knowledge through social interaction. According to Vygotsky's theory, children depend on tools provided by their culture, which determines which skills they will develop. Vygotsky's view contrasts the Piaget's view that children's private speech is immature and egocentric. Critics of Vygotsky's theory inserts that it lacks the specific ideas about age-related changes and overemphasize the role of language in thinking.